afternoon, everybody. Uh, Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of Looped In with Maritza. My name is Maritza Gertie. I am the Northeast Regional Organizer for the National Parents Union. I hope that everyone has had an enjoyable week so far. And as you know, I am coming to you live from the city of Philadelphia in the state of Pennsylvania. So I always like to open up with some local things that are happening just for the folks that are in this area so they can be in the know and in the loop, for lack of a better word. Um, as many families know in the city of Philadelphia, the school selection process has begun online on the school district website. It will be open until November. So anyone that is looking to select a specific school for their school age child, please go on to the City of Philadelphia School District website, SDP, and they can go there and follow the prompts and the direction. Hopefully it is in multiple languages to allow many families to select in the language that they understand. And good luck to all of you in your school selection process. There is an organization, there is a gentleman by the name of Ray Gantz. He has the Ray of Hope Project. He is still doing a toy drive going on through November 15th. There is a Facebook page, the Ray of Hope Project Inc., or you can call 215-964-7627 if you would like to make a donation. I understand that they're also taking clothing donations and also coat donations. For anyone that is able to do so, please reach out to him via his phone number here on the bottom of your screen, or you can go on his Facebook page, the Ray of Hope Project, and get information on how you can make a charitable donation that helps many people in our community. Families, the National Parents Union is right now going through a campaign that is called EPIC, with regards to holding school boards accountable for how they spend this funding that is coming down in the millions across our school districts. Districts meaning plural across the country. We are talking about millions of dollars that are being allocated as part of the American Rescue Plan, the ARP. All of you should have been informed by your schools what is being done with these funds. Phase 2 was allocated last school year. I'm sorry, phase 1. Phase 2 was at the beginning of this school year. And phase 3 is going to be coming before the end of this year into January 2022. Go on to the National Parents Union page, select EPIC, sign up so that you can be informed. In there, it gives you information that you should have on hand with regards to your demanding that things do not return back to normal with regards to our schools' needs, regarding the transparency that we are demanding of school districts, of our schools, with regards to what is happening with these funds. There should not be any wasteful spending. And if there is wasteful spending, you need to report it. You need to call it out. There should not be money spent on things that are frivolous. We have been posting this past week graphics, and because Halloween is coming up, they've been considered scary graphics and scary stories. Things like disgusting foods that's being served in some schools in North Jersey, wasteful spending on a weight room at a school in the Midwest. Instead of making sure that our kids get the funds that they need for what they need it for, such as social, emotional supports, for academic supports for our children that have suffered through some kind of learning loss, tutoring, extra tutoring. Wouldn't it be great if monies were allocated to every family that felt they needed some type of tutoring for their child, some support for their child, or all the school-age children in their home? If monies were then designated to each of these families that requested it, or just say, listen, as long as it is proven that it's used for academic support, We're going to give each child an X amount of dollars so that families can go ahead and get the supports that they need. Not everyone has the resources to get private tutors, families. And this is the kind of thing that the money can be used for. Every family votes. It's one of the committees that I'm a part of, that I have been a part of with the National Parents Union and Families. Please understand that in your states, every 6 months, there is some type of election going on. Every 6 months, there is something going on in your community by which you are able to vote. Even if school board elections are going to be happening, this next week. In the state of Pennsylvania, we have judge seats that are coming up. We have some people that are running for governor of the state of Pennsylvania. We have district attorneys running across the state of Pennsylvania. We have many people across this country that are trying to affect change. Exercise your rights. For those of you that have registered to vote, please vote. Please make your votes known. Please make that piece of your voice heard in the ballot box so that we can try to make things a little bit better. And if it's a person that is running that has not been doing their job and there is a better candidate, vote for the better candidate. Vote that other person out that has not been doing what they promised they would do. For anyone that's interested in becoming an individual member or an organizational member of the National Parents Union, you just have to go to our website, www.nationalparentsunion.org. It takes less than 3 minutes to fill out the information. It is free to join. And being a member definitely does have its advantages for many of you. For all of you. Hello, Angela Hansford. How are you? I'm just saying hi to folks that are commenting, and I really do appreciate getting the hellos from you. So if anyone during our show has any questions or comments, please feel free. I want to get down to our conversation. So I'm going to bring on our guest so that she can introduce herself. Hello.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Please introduce yourself.
Good. Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you. So my name is Dr. Anjali Laffery. I am a psychologist. I reside in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm also a part of the CF Butley Collective. We're an organization that focuses on supporting Indigenous families. We like to say from womb to tomb. I was also previously hosted a show here on the National Parents Union, and it's been some time since I've been on. So it's good to be back with you, Maritza.
Thank you. Full disclosure, I just love this lady right here. Whenever I feel very strongly about talking about our mental health, our mental well-being, I reach out to Dr. Anjali. I'm like, hey, can you come on my show so we can talk about? And then she has yet to say no to me, and I appreciate that so much about her, that she's always you've made yourself available, and I really appreciate it. And I'm quite sure those that have listened to you in the past and will listen to us talk today will truly appreciate your wisdom, your expertise, your knowledge. Hey, Dina. Okay, Paseca's in the house today. Hello from everybody up top. I love you guys for tuning in. We are going to talk about the topic that I explained that I would really like to talk about first is let's talk about COVID fatigue.
Yes. So, when I have seen conversations about COVID fatigue and graphics at many points right throughout this pandemic, and it's coming up again. I feel like as I'm watching people's stories on social media, there's a lot of information about burnout, right? Of like, what is it and how do you address it, right? So many of us are at that place because we're now 18 months in the pandemic. I don't know about you, but I find myself sometimes saying like, well, when the pandemic is finished or now that we can go outside, there's all this uncertainty, and that uncertainty, that feeling like, I don't know where I can step. I don't know if I can put my foot down. I don't know if it's all okay. Psychologically, we don't do very well with that, and we certainly don't do well with it for 18 months, right? And I don't, I'm not here to assign blame. Whether it's someone's fault or not, it's just a matter of like, it just is, you know? And I don't know that regarding COVID that we can say it's all settled, because it feels like we keep getting one piece and one piece and one piece at a time, you know? It's not as bad as when we first started, but since school opened, there's been a resurgence of that for parents and families, and teachers and, you know, educators, of like it feeling like every day something's changing.
Oh my goodness! And when when you just said it, teachers and educators.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have many in my circles that I consider, that I adore and I love, and they have done the best that they can. I have seen them do the best that they can in the middle of it. I have seen them, some of them stressed out, some of them cry, some of them lash out in anger. I mean, we've seen videos of teachers that have lashed out against students
Yeah.
out of anger, and I in no way am saying it was okay for them to do that, but just like we are fighting and demanding that our children get the supports that they need to help them try to grapple with this change. That's the shock of not being in school, staying home for an extended period of time, now being back in school and learning to readjust to that life, to
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
schedule, to being around other people that aren't in the same home as you, that are not in the same house as you, growing up with you. Teachers also need that support.
Yep.
All the adults in the building that are in a brick and mortar building need that support. Heck, even teachers that have been doing this virtually the whole time, they also need some kind of support. So
Mm-hmm.
what should they be doing?
Yeah, I want to pick up the level of adjustment that we went through, that we persevered and survived through, is now being reignited when we haven't really had time to like take a breath and kind of get our bearings back. You know, I am thinking of educators for that, but also what's gone on is, as students have gone back into the classroom, because because we have to respond to COVID cases, because we have to respond to exposures, there's this constant like, am I going to school today or not? Or there's an outbreak. You know, how many parents are getting the calls every day or the text, however your school communicates with you, of there's been this exposure, so this class is closed for this day, or these number of students have to be quarantined. That's that inability to settle that is very reminiscent of when COVID started. And so one thing I want people to realize is that it doesn't matter what it is, we can always be pulling on past triggers, or situations can tap past triggers. And it doesn't even have to be related to COVID, right? It can relate to a time in your life where there was this much stress, or a time in your life where there was this much unpredictability, and all of the emotions and the things that you had to work through then are going to present themselves right now at the most inconvenient of times, of course, but it's because it's something that needs to be, healed and restored. So how do you do that, right? I wish, I have to be honest, I'm a little sick of telling people to meditate. It's a good thing, right? I'm a little sick of telling people self-care. I'm frustrated that the recommendations have to do with the individual feeling like they have to do a little bit more, because there's not more in the tank, right? Especially when people are reaching these levels of burnout. That's the definition, right? Of like, I don't have motivation to do the things that, helped me beforehand. Having said that, streamlining, like it's if you haven't already done this, you have to determine what in your day is priority and necessity and what is not. And I think the pandemic has given some of us the opportunity to do that, meaning figure out what are the priorities. And so then, as we've tried to re-enter back to what was real life, you should be feeling and getting some immediate feedback of like, that's making me tired. That's making me anxious. That's making me stressed. And you need to listen to that and not do that, because who you were before is we've now all shifted into a different person, so don't try to override. In fact, that's what occurs with burnout. You can no longer override what you once were able to, because your tank is so empty, right? And so you need to listen to that. The other part too is we need social connections, meaningful social connections. I'm not saying, yeah, go to happy hour if that's your thing. But that's not even, but that's not what I mean. I mean, like, we have to have the heart to heart, I feel like I can unwind. I feel like I can share. I feel like I can vent. This person is hearing me. And then I also don't have to entertain them, I don't have to throw like a weekend long party that I have to plan for all week just to get that need met, We have to be able to support each other with direct and intimate conversation quickly, so then we can get back into our lives. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. When you everything you're saying to me. And I mean, I went through something, this was several years ago. I worked for a major company, a Fortune 500 company. I was in middle management. They were in the process of downsizing. So I was in a situation where every single day they let us know people were put into 3 categories. You got an email telling you to go to room A, you got an email telling you to go to room B, or you didn't get an email at all. So the folks that ended up going into conference room A were given a white envelope with a package, letting them know they were being separated from the company. The people in room B, we're still keeping you around, but we don't know how long you're going to be kept around. And then I was always in the 3rd category, where I never got an email personally. So every single day for like a month, I saw people either walking out with breathing a sigh of relief or just crying because they were so upset that they were being separated. And it stressed me out so much, Dr. Anjali, that I was driving home, and my commute was, on a good day, was about an hour. I would cry driving home because I was so stressed out that I separated myself from the company. I immediately put my resumes out there and got hired by another company just because of the stress that they put everyone under. And then on top of that, it was always like, well, why didn't Maritza get an email? Why hasn't she been calling to her? Well, what's so different about her? Or what's so special about her? And I would always be feeling like, I don't know. Lay me off. Because I know I have enough time in the company that I can, I would have been able to walk away with something to show for it. So during COVID, a lot of people had to leave their jobs. They had to take lesser paying jobs because it was more flexible to allow them to be home with their children while their children were home. So a lot of things were happening, a lot of stress, a lot of normal stressors, because the people have normal stressors, were elevated. And then for some people that chose to do what they loved during the time of the shutdown, that was their opportunity to really delve into doing what they love.
Right.
And they've thrived. They flourished at that. I mean, I made a change. I had my foot in the door at the school district last year, and I was like, okay, I have my foot in the door. The pay was horrible, absolutely horrible. But I at least got my foot in the door, but I was able to be home with the children.
Yeah.
And I could walk to my job. And when I got paid during holidays. When they were home, I was home. So it balanced out for me. But then some wonderful folks said, you know what you've been doing, we want you to do more. And so an opportunity presented itself, and I'm in the position I'm in now. And I love what I do. I like what I do. So my stress level as far as work has really, really diminished. And now it's just, for me, thankfully, it's just the normal stresses of job. But I people that know me, that know how to reach me, know if they need me, they know how to reach me. They could call me, they could text me, and I always answer the phone. You know that because I do. And then just to make people know, those that really know me know, do not be surprised when Maritza sends you a TikTok at 11 o'clock at night with something hilarious, because she knows you're up because you're on the other side of the country. Or, she knows you'll eventually get it and it'll make you laugh. And I do that because that's just, I want to be able to see people be as happy as me. I see some comments here. I'm sick of telling people to meditate, to practice self-care. Most honest thing I've heard in a long time. I'm sick of the word grace. Holy crap. I absolutely agree, Tim. Giving people grace. I'm like, if I hear that one more time, I mean, I actually said that to a disgruntled parent that was ready to flip out at the school, and I was like, you know what? Let's give the teacher a little, just a little bit of grace, and I left it at that.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay.
Well, and it's good. We all need it, you know. However, I think we're at a space of, you know, kind of collective burnout. And I think the thing that, like, I don't know if we forget, like we forget things so easily as a society. It's not only been the pandemic. So the pandemic happened. We will see, you know, in like maybe 5, 10 years from now, what sociologists, how they describe what is, you know, kind of, I don't like it when people say social uprising, you know, what happened post George Floyd. I think a better way of describing it, my hope is that it'll be a mini kind of digital civil rights movement. You know, the point is, when I started, all of our values as individuals are being reevaluated and are potentially shifting, and society is having to catch up to people's shifts. It doesn't typically go that way. Typically, there will be societal shifts, there will be legal changes, there will be like economic or industrial shifts, and then people have to shift. This is going in a different order, you know. And so then again, that's why we keep bumping up against, like, oh, but the world wants to open up the same way that it did before, and all of us are like, no, that's not working for me anymore. And we are in this difficult transition time, and I'm thinking transition like birthing, transition like when something's coming, you know, growing and coming to the fore, where we're not sure exactly what we want it to look like yet. We know it's uncomfortable and we know we want something different, but we're definitely not going back there. Examples, concrete examples. You know, you and I were talking about that we're in a time right now called the Great Resignation, you know.
Yes.
And that's because of this, because people are aware of, like, I can't do that, I can't work like this anymore, you know. And people that have certain level of privilege that, you know, maybe have time, were able to kind of do all this self reflection and assessment because they were working from home. Not everyone is able to do that. But anyway, we are at a time and place where there are more jobs than more positions open that are going unfilled. 4.3 million is the last thing I read and heard. 4.3 million people resign from their jobs, right? Up, you know, to date. And I can't drive down the street without noticing really big signs of, yes, of hiring, but also of the rates that people are paying. And if we want to, like, this is our Americanism, right? We always want to put a one size fits all response or solution to a problem. That's actually not going to work here. If I can teach for half a second, at a certain pay rate, if you're making somewhere between like $35,000 and $40,000, making $5,000 more dollars is a big deal to you. You know, you're going to feel that impact. Once you're making $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, $5,000 more dollars isn't significant enough. It doesn't shift your income level enough, right? In different places, what you said, having like a remote work schedule, having an adjustable work schedule, having job security, having benefits, right? Different things are motivating different sectors, and that's shifting, and employers need to kind of figure out now what's motivating your workforce, right? What's motivating the employees you once had, because we know it's harder, it's more expensive to retrain and to lose someone than it is to bring someone in. I feel badly for middle managers. I can't even imagine somebody in that supervisory middle management role. You're getting it from the top, you know, of like, let's keep this machine going, right? And then you're having literally lack of bodies, you know, to fulfill the role and the task. That is actually where there's quite a bit of potential for burnout, because you're managing too many things. All of us psychologically, we have too many. Think of a jungler. When we have too many balls, you know, going, at a certain point, you just let the balls drop because you know you can't. You disengage, and that disengagement is actually an indicator of burnout. One last thing, we're also seeing it with like strikes, in multiple industries, there are strikes. You and I were talking about that in Philly. There's the potential of the bus strikes. And then, okay, if that happens, how are the kids going to get to school? My daughter's now in Colorado. When I went to go visit her, out of the 6 air traffic controllers that they were supposed to have on working that day, there were only 2. So that delayed all of the flights again. And I mean, if I was annoyed, but I also wasn't mad at them, like I'm down for people fighting for better and different working conditions. Anyway, that was a lot of
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, better work, better living and working conditions, livable wages,
mm-hmm.
um, the
Child care.
cost, the child care, the cost to live,
Mm-hmm.
is rising every single day, and people's wages are remaining stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame. I am pro union. I've
Yes.
only had 2 jobs in my life where I was part of a union that they offered a union. So I'm all for it. If it means better conditions for the employees, which would then result in better service, absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
that is why if it happens, I hope it happens quickly. If it doesn't happen and an agreement is reached, great. But then as a parent of school age children, I mean, I'm fortunate. My children come, we don't have to catch the school district bus or the city transportation. My daughter does. She has to go from one end of the city to the other, but she is fortunate enough that she has parents that can both drive, both have vehicles, and can make sure she gets to and from school. My concern is for those families that even before this issue with a strike, they're dealing with the stressor of getting my child to and from school because there are not enough school bus drivers, because school bus drivers would rather work for other companies because they'd make more money, less stress, because it's stressful driving a school bus. And children, no matter what, even though they're very well behaved in school, they get loud. And
Mm-hmm.
noise is a very big distraction when you're driving a vehicle, especially with 30 or 40. I mean, some of us only have 1, 2, maybe 3 children in the vehicle with us. Imagine 30 or 40 children in a huge bus having to navigate across a city in which a lot of people respect the rules of the road.
That
Unfortunately,
that
it's
and
it's a stressor.
assessing your own risk. So that's like normal. That's
Yes,
every day. And then now you're thinking in the back of your mind, do these kids have masks on? Who's vaccinated or not?
yes, yes.
Like all of the things that I can't say, can't ask, so that daily risk assessment, that inability to establish a routine, and then constantly filtering news
Oh
about the
yeah.
pandemic.
And if and if they go ahead and say that there will be a transportation strike in the city of Philadelphia, it's gonna hurt a lot of working families, because families will then have to decide, if it's a single parent home, do I stay home with my child to help them get online if they end up having to go to school virtually? Can I walk my child to school? Do I have the enough money to send them in an Uber or a Lyft? A taxi? All of those things come into play, and I've been saying it, all of these resources that have been given to school districts, they need to take some of that money and create something where families get access to Uber and Lyft or cab rides, and that's how that money can be spent wisely in the event that their child is a student that has to be bused to school.
That, but also as you're talking about it, though, I'm aware of like, but the bus drivers shouldn't be much different than the community that they're driving for, So their kids, they should be feeling the impact. So what I'm hearing is like the divide and conquer is not going to work anymore, and it actually isn't working. So with a lot of these strikes, and my research and the things that I'm listening to, maybe sometimes a negotiation will be like, okay, new employees will get this and existing employees will get this. I heard that's in a nursing strike, and that nursing organization is saying, no, that's not okay. We don't want a 2-tier system, right? So again, that's an old tactic to try to divide and conquer. Whereas I'm not saying that the bus drivers shouldn't strike, they should, but they should be feeling, I would imagine that they are thinking about how children are going to be impacted and how schools are going to be impacted. Because if they live in the community that they drive for, their kids are being impacted. So it's that much more important to them. So I would actually encourage them to talk with the schools, to talk with parents, parent-based organizations of like, how do we work around this? Because for something to really shift for their quality of life, they need the support from everyone. This is as challenging as this time is. This is actually a particularly beautiful time where typically we don't get to see all the intersections of how the bus system impacts school and how that impacts parents. If all those three organizations or entities or stakeholders can come together and have a conversation of like, how do we manage our way out of this? You're removing all the other factors that typically tell you can't do something. You're taking them out of play, and that is one of the things that we did learn during the pandemic. And there's opportunity. All of this stuff is being rewritten, or we have the ability to rewrite it. I know we're tired, but
It's
that's the opportunity.
I truly hope that it happens. And with regards to our children, I'm really worried that a lot of the educators
Mm-hmm.
that love doing what they do, which is to teach children, have been further tasked with doing so many other things that they're done.
Yes.
They're
Well,
saying, I'm this is they tell me, hey, this is gonna be my last school year. You're not gonna see me anymore. And I'm like, what?
yeah, because it's too much. So I this is a quote that I pulled from The Guardian, and this is an article on the 4th of October. So y'all can go back and Google this. But the quote is perfect for what we're talking about. This teacher was saying, we have low pay, low respect, low autonomy, and no one listens to us. Now we're being forced to risk our lives and our health.
Hmm.
No, you can only push people and devalue their work for so long, right? Um, to the points of where no rate of pay is not going to be the motivator, right? Alone, so if any of us want to go to a situation thinking that we can use a tool or a tactic of old, we're going to have a sorry we're going to have a difficult lesson. If companies want to operate, if places and spaces want to operate in a soulless way, a lot of people want meaning. I want to know that what I'm doing matters. I want to be able to use my skills and my talents. And this is another thing too. We all, just for a year and a half to 18 months, we did with less. We did with less. We went out less. I know I realized that I need much less money, it's like, especially if I'm not paying gas and all these things. Some of us that were able to, we refinanced our homes. My mortgage is lower. I need less money, So the things that I do that create a greater expense are optional, right? So some of those things that we stopped paying for are going to go by the wayside. I feel badly for small business owners because I think sometimes that those are the folks that get hit the most, but we really are buying and supporting organizations based on our values and the quality that they give to our life right now. And so that's also a part of this great resignation of like, no, we learned how to do with less. That's a good thing.
Mm, mm, mm. How can we support? I mean, there's certain things that I know I do personally,
Mm-hmm.
as a parent, but what can we do to support and help to uplift some of those educators that are just burnt out already, and Halloween hasn't even happened, and they're already like, I need a vacation. I can't wait till Thanksgiving. What kinds of things can we do to help support them, and not only the teachers? And when I say everybody in the building, all the adults, that
Mm-hmm.
includes the teacher, the secretary, the custodial staff, the climate support staff, the counselor, the nurse, even the school principal. What can families do to help? And it's not just teacher appreciation week that comes next year, or school, secretary's day and principal's day, that one day thing. But what can we do now, just to help them make it through this entire school year, because they're the ones that are with our children the longest part of their day. What can we do to support them?
Number one, say thank you. Give unprompted, sincere thank you. I know it seems small. I know it seems like it's not going to be enough. Somebody did this to me today. Somebody, so you have like, I can say names. It just might not make, have context for everyone else. But Marisol, somebody that we worked with, both her aunt and her mother were, just such frequent viewers of the show. And they called me just to tell me that they miss me. They miss me on the shows and how much they love me. I was like, oh, look, my day is going to be made, with that. And the thing is, they're called psychologically, they're called uplifts. It's, we think like, oh, it's just nice words. What is that going to do? No, that's literally going to uplift me throughout the rest of the day, right? And that's and maybe as I hit a difficult moment throughout the day, or as I have another moment maybe where I doubt my work or my effectiveness or the quality of what I'm doing, I get to hear that. Think about it like filling up people's tanks, right? Because the thing is, when we get stressed, we stop doing the things that of quality. We stop doing the little special things, the extra little treats, right? So we're burnt out. We're not getting the strokes and the positive affirmations that we're used to getting, maybe from our partner, maybe from our work environment. It goes a long way. Say thank you and do it in exceptionally meaningful ways. That's number one. Go ahead. You want to comment?
No, I mean, I went ahead and I dropped off some gifts to some teachers at my school on Monday. Today I went ahead and there was a teacher I had promised her lunch, but when I had it, she was not in school that day, so I gave it to somebody else. So the day she wasn't expecting, and I was like, "Come here, I brought you something," and I gave it to her. She was like, "Miss Gertie, oh my goodness, I didn't bring lunch today. Thank you." It's something, something small. And it goes a long way to help them say, okay, you know what? Somebody took the time to think about me and just did something nice. And just like you said, the little things are what matter.
And it's that balance, think about it again, like a gas tank, like a bucket, that needs to be filled. This bucket can can lose more water than it gets water put into it. But that's only for a certain amount of time. That can only go on so long, so we have to make sure that we have that balance, and other people provide that to us. It's not only ourselves. That's the part when I was saying, I can only say meditate and self-care so long because we need other people to help us out too, right? Yeah, so that's that. The other part is, where can they get time back in their day? Where can they get a break? Where can they get to go home an hour later, or get to sleep in, or come in an hour later? It's not, anyway, everyone's motivated differently. It's not so much middle of the day stuff, but how can we offload something, And so that takes a closeness, so I would actually suggest, somebody wants to do something like even more significant, talk to the school principal and the employer, right? Of like, okay, if we as parents wanted to do something, how could we help and support teachers and educators and take an hour off on something you're allowed to do? I'm thinking of like a lot of us, it's been trending as like that dad patrol, so that school and a high school, I think in Louisiana, has been having a lot of issues with the students fighting. And so then literally a group of 40 dads have gotten together to create a dad patrol, and they kind of take shifts and they just walk around the campus and provide a male presence, provide a parental, fatherly figure presence. And that's leading to not only a reduction in the fights, but the environment in the school situation is improving. The students they talk about feeling safe. They're getting attention. I can imagine that there are several things that are lessening and reducing it. I bet you that's helping the counselors. I'm sure it's helping the resource officers if they're there or not. So again, that coming together to kind of figure out, hey, I can give this hour. I can do that. I can give this hour once every 2 months. If every individual can give 1 hour every 2 months, it'll accumulate to maybe allowing somebody to take come in a little bit later this time because I'm willing to do the mailers. That part I can do, so seeing, offering what you can and kind of working together. And that's also a part of this, how you're going to maintain those people there. So if you care about those administrators, you care about those educators, and then continuing on, they need help just as much as you do, and seeing it as potentially being reciprocal. That's been one of our greatest invitations to me throughout this pandemic. Um, I'll be super frank here and clear. The capitalist, like patriarchal system of work where we do something at a desk, our body has to be somewhere, the bottom line matters most. None of those skills helped us during the pandemic. They haven't helped us come out of it. They're not going to help us in what is coming on the horizon for all the shifts, work shifts and changes. Things that are communal, that account for everyone, practical skills, and the leveraging of technology. And I would add, and kind of childcare support, but that's part of that communal nature, like where we're thinking of everyone. That's what we need to move forward. That is the change that we have 500 years of history that's worked off of one system that's asking us to shift into this other system.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, just like we're fighting to make sure that our children get the supports that they need to allow them to be better able to function right now.
Mm.
Adults need the same thing. They need the same kind of supports. And it's not even trying to get into people's personal lives, because that's the least thing that anyone would want to do, unless the person wanted to share that they have personal things going on. But just on the surface level, just seeing them, saying a good morning and saying a good afternoon, or have a nice weekend or happy Friday to somebody can help make their day. As I said, a small gesture, a small token of appreciation. I'm all for, cooking a spread and taking it over to the school, because I like it, because cooking is what I like to do. Anyone that, if there's someone out there that is a manicurist, go up to the school and say, hey, I'm willing to be up here for 2 hours, and doing a manicure would only take me about 10 to 15 minutes. I could take 10 to 15 teachers or 10 to 15 adults in the building. Just give me a place to put my table and put my supplies there, and I'll do that.
Yep.
It would make teachers and educators and anybody in the building's day that somebody did that for them.
That's
just to say that that's it. But my strongest thing is making sure and hoping that if there are people out there that want to do those kinds of gestures in their children's schools, that the school administrators are open to it. That they understand is something that they want to do because they care and they want to show their support. But caring and support also goes both ways. That they say, okay, families are showing us support. Let's show these families support by making sure that when they have a concern, we're listening to them. We're open to have a conversation with them. And then when major decisions have to be made, we include them in every step of the way. Not that it be an after the fact situation.
Absolutely. And it has to start somewhere. Somebody has to give, it's that olive branch, right? Somebody has to give in one direction first, and I interrupted you earlier. I'm sorry, but this is what we're talking about, building community, that's what this is. Like when, your livelihood is dependent upon what I do and vice versa. And again, that's what we keep being asked to do, So having, kind of Friday afternoons where like we all spend some time cleaning the classroom, being able, so that like the one person that does that job gets to kind of, leave sooner, right? But if they many hands make light work, that's an example. Asking, maybe I'm willing to help you on the weekend, teacher, grade the spelling tests, and I can commit to having this for, to you by this time. That even as I say that, I already know the pushback. The pushback is going to be like, hold on, wait, but that's not my job, and am I qualified? No, we all were teachers. We all were teachers at home. We can all do this. So that like, how can I pay someone to get this this assistance from community members, and how are parents going to do that? Because we're in community, because that's what you do when you're in community. It doesn't matter. You don't have a thought that like my partner's jaw needs this help to reduce their job. It's just, this is a household. So once my partner's work gets done, we all get to go to bed and we get to start the next day. That's kind of the approach, that we could be taking in schools. And so, like you said, you're hoping that that's not blocked, and people are like,
Absolutely.
no, we can't do that. No, we need to remove that. Like, no, you can. Somebody can grade us. I can grade a first grade spelling test. I can,
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Absolutely. So can I.
Yeah.
So can I.
I can
And
do
it's,
that.
and I've been thinking about this, thinking in, as you said, a communal way, for those that live near their children's schools or that live near a school period in their neighborhood. If you work from home or have a very flexible work schedule and you're able to say, you know what, I can give an hour a week. What can I do with that hour? What can I do at that school that'll make it a little bit easier? Just a little bit easier. And then I can know that I helped in some way. Whether it be, can I help in the schoolyard at drop off? Can I help in the schoolyard at pickup time? Can I help in the cafeteria during lunch for an hour and a half? Because I tell you, I remember seeing the climate support staff and this, there were like 4 at the time, maybe 5. Now maybe it is down to 2. So the amount of students hasn't decreased, but the amount of adults making sure that the kids are okay has decreased. If you volunteer your time, one thing that you'll gain is you'll get to know each and every single child's name that comes across your way for that hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And they'll say, okay, here she comes, or here he comes. They don't play. We need to, we can play, but we can't be in here acting like we don't have any adult supervision. Or like you said, let me, during a teacher's prep time, which is supposed to also, from what I remember, also be time when they get to eat. Offer that, hey, during your prep, you go eat. What do you have to do? Is something you need to like draw on a wall or do, or grade a paper or prepare some kind of anything that requires me not having to be an official teacher that I can do, whether it's setting up some folders, helping with a bulletin board, anything. And if a calendar can be made like that, if the school is open to providing a calendar of times and tasks that need to be done, and they share it with their families, I'm quite sure that families that are willing to do something like that will say, okay, I'm committing to every second Tuesday of the month, I'll come in here for a couple of hours and help with XYZ. It can happen, but it has to be something where we're made to feel welcome to do it.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be something I have to think of what to do. But if you know what has to be done, break it down to the most minimum explanation. Let us know exactly how much time it would take, and people will come and help you out in your schools.
That, and that's what also allows for both or multiple sides to understand one another, right? So when parents are in the classroom, they understand the plight of teachers, right? And I'm glad I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I'm a good example, but I'm not hearing people complain about teachers. I have to say that I'm not hearing people complain about, and that was something I heard at different times. People not caring. I don't think that narrative exists anymore. It's the opposite of like, I know you're tired, I know you're burnt out, and I know you had to learn 18 new systems, right? And that's a good thing that narrative has somewhat washed away, right? So then right now we're kind of just even in our spitballing conversation talking about how to create kind of this communal school environment, because we know that social connections pull us out of burnout. We know that help and support and getting time to rest and relax when you're burnt out, that's the only thing that can help you is rest. There's no way to like give yourself more energy, because it's that you're so depleted that you have to come back. So how do we do that for one another? And then the parents build in the ability to have a say, because they've now turned into valuable stakeholders. Like, no, I'm going to listen to you because like, you know what I do, right? And you have bought some goodwill with me, so I'm going to pay attention and listen to you. Our way out of all of this is community. I mean, I can't say that until I'm blue in the face, or I can only say that until I'm blue in the face. Our way out is each other. Our way out is in. Our way out, if we want to go back on this person's doing that, this person's doing that, and I'm going to separate myself and I'm going to put you on blast and cancel culture, That's not going to take us very far. That's what we were doing before.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my big takeaway is, make sure that as an individual you're doing the best that you can with what you have, but that also try to make sure that it's making you that it's allowing you to feel happiness and satisfaction in what you're doing. Take the time to recharge, because if you're depleted, how can you help others? And the same thing for them. If they're depleted, how can they help you and your child? Think of ways to show appreciation, even if it is just saying thank you. If that's the most you can do that. I mean, sending a text or email that says thank you also goes a very long way. And then don't allow things to go back to the status quo. Think of new and different ways to do things. Look at what worked these past 18 months. Try to stay away from what didn't work so that we don't keep on repeating the same mistakes, and just be open to different ideas.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the best thing that I can share with anyone that's viewing this. Just be open to the ideas. And if there is someone that insists on doing things the same old way, and that what is being done by them is not working, and they're in a position of power, especially if they were elected to that position of power, what your role is at that point. All of you know what your role would be at that point. It is to vote them out, and even better, find somebody else that can do that job. Maybe it may even be you that can do that job.
Employers have less power right now. Employees have more power. For once in, it's been a long time since that combination has existed, or that leveraging power has existed. So, again, use your voice, because there's so many people can walk away right now. Even from the school perspective, we can shift kids into different schools because there are so many options, for still online schooling, remote schooling. So we have a lot of power right now to be able to shift things if we can. And that was a really good summary, Maritza. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. How does time go by so fast? I mean, 1 minute it's like, okay, it's 4:15, and now it's like it's 4:52, and I can't believe it.
I know, because we're full of ideas, and we enjoy each other's company. So, and if we started talking about food and recipes, we'd be here for all day, right?
So. Oh my gosh, that'll be the next time I ask you to come and talk about self-care, food as a way of exercising self-care.
That, and I propose that the next time I'm on the show that I do it in Philly with you, and that we cook together, because we've been talking about doing that. So
that would be hey, we're gonna talk about this. Absolutely.
The weather is better in this direction right now.
I know it's getting chilly. I felt the chill today. I said, okay, it's beyond hoodie weather right now for me. And it's getting colder each morning. So yeah, you might see me in Phoenix before you know it. But any parting words for our families?
Oh man. As I said that, I felt like kind of that fatigue even in my back. And it's not intense, but that little bit of like fatigue and challenge you have. I just want everyone to know how much they're doing, how much their efforts are enough. You don't have to be doing things based off of your old standards. Like, it's okay. Do your work, feed your family, love yourself, try to work on yourself and how you communicate and express things, and then go and chill out and watch TV. You know what I mean? Allow for that new standard to become like our way of life. We don't have to be, there's nothing to return to. There's nothing to return to. There's only kind of something new and a new experience to make for ourselves, So like, spend that time like crafting your new experience, knowing that when you're resting, you're actually doing something. You are resting. That's the something you're doing. So.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so very much. I love you. I love you.
Oh I miss you. Oh. Like, I want to be with you again. I know.
I'm going to take the last few minutes to say some parting words to anyone that's viewed today. If you choose to hang out in the virtual green room, you can. If not, I will definitely text and call you later.
I
So
will too.
thank you. Thank you very much until the next time. So let me just say a few words to our folks.
Okay.
Hey everybody. Thank you again for those of you that tuned in. And I'm going to say this. I had made a post about this several weeks ago. And you know, all I kept on saying that it's okay. It's okay to unplug. It's okay to say no. It's okay to rest. It's okay to just veg out if you need to. It's okay to postpone a meeting, cancel a meeting. It's okay to take a day for yourself. It's okay to, you know, just have some alone time if you need it. It's okay to have family time if you need it. Um, my goal is to always my hope is that every time I have a broadcast that it actually that people that watch it leave with something from it, whatever they heard, just take the best part for yourself. If you need to reach me, that is my email, Maritza at mpunion.org. Again, for anyone that is interested in being a member of the National Parents Union, all they need to do is go on to the National Parents Union website. If you are an individual, if you are an organization, there is the information you have to log into. Uh, Reminder again, Election Day in the state of Pennsylvania will be this Tuesday, November 2nd. Those of you that want to exercise your civic duty in the state of Pennsylvania and are registered to vote, please do so. Please remember that we are here for you. If you need us, if you need any information from the National Parents Union, please feel free to send an email to info@npunion.org, and we'll be happy to send you a response. To all of you that have blessed me with a little bit of your time today to listen in, to be part of this conversation, thank you so much. Tabby, Dina, Angela, anyone else, Tim, anyone else that tuned in, thank you so very much. And hopefully I will see everyone next week. Please stay safe. Please wear your mask if you are in areas where you do not know everyone that's in your immediate protective bubble of family and friends. And until next week, have a good rest of your week. Thank you so very much.